Hello, I'm Luke Hatfield. You join me and Lewis Cox at the Montgomery Waters Meadow. Lewis, Shrewsbury Town 1, Portsmouth 2. Town really made to pay for what was a pretty sloppy first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, not good from minute 10, 15 till 45. I think they started quite brightly and actually had the game's first big chance with Daniel Udo. Didn't really stretch Craig McGillivray, should have done better. Finds the corners, I think Town lead, and it could be a different game.
Yeah.
But Pompey looked sharp, bright, obviously reinvigorated by Danny Cowley, I think the new manager. They were sort of being coached all game, weren't they? It was quite visible to see and vocal to hear. And they were good, weren't they, Pompey? I think a mixture of Portsmouth being quite good and Town having an off day, really, certainly first half, below their standards. Bit of a perfect storm, sadly, and they were good value for the 2-0 lead, weren't they, Pompey? Obviously, two good goals, Marcus Harness and John Marquis. Two very well worked goals, neat moves. Yes, second might have been defendable from Town's point of view. Maybe Ryan Sears playing got a little bit put out of position perhaps, but yeah, they were good value for the 2-0 lead, and I think Town just gave themselves too much to do.
Yeah, it certainly did. Second half, they looked a little bit better. The goal was a great one.
Yeah.
From Obito on that left flank. They switched to a 4, didn't they, at the back?
Yeah,
and Obito kind of powers forward from that full-back position. And I've seen a lot of good stuff said about him. This is the first time I got to see him in the flesh. And boy, did he impress with that goal, because he kind of just glides past players with the ball at his feet. And then the finish, he made it look incredibly easy when it wasn't an easy finish, was
with
it?
his swinger as well, with his weaker foot. So his quality is honestly so impressive, so impressive. The week he's had as well. I mean, he's been brilliant since he signed, but the week he's had, great. I think that was just 7 minutes into the second half to make it 2-1, and it looked like game on, didn't it? As you say, Steve Cottrell via the phone, of course, made his changes at the break. So that was Harry Chapman coming on for Sears, who had it tough back in the team at right wing back, out of position. Switched to a back 4, like you said, bring Chapman on. I think he played the right of the front 3 in a 4-3-3, and it was influential. Chapman, he put a few balls in late on, and Portsmouth clearly started attacking him in terms of chopping him down and trying to halt him. But I better, like you said, with the goal. I mean, he makes it out of nothing. He makes it all himself, which is so impressive. It's his first senior goal, which caps a remarkable week for him. He had the free kick down here last week against Hull. That was an own goal, unfortunately, for 1-1, and then he set up the 2 goals and the win at Burton in midweek, which was very impressive. And to do that today, a great moment for him. Shame it's coming a defeat, really, but just further highlights his quality, really. I mean, seriously exciting.
Yeah, and that, to me, I thought straight away, I'll tell you what, Town will be right into this, because, I mean, first off, they weren't really at the races, and then they get the early goal, and you think, plenty of time for a second. They look to have been helped by the fact that, I mean, Chapman, who you said had been on the end of some questionable challenges, was on the end of one from Marquis, which gave him a red card. He picked up a red card through it. What did you make of the challenge at first? Because a lot of people won't have seen it. But
to tell you the truth, I need to watch it back, really. But live, I thought he won the ball. It was obviously a firm challenge, but I saw him win the ball, and not handbags, but a bit of a kerfuffle, a few arguments afterwards around the ref and all that. But I think Portsmouth were shouting he's won the ball. I don't know if Town thought it was reckless, which perhaps it was. I need to watch it back clearly, as I said, to be honest. But I think Dave Longwell said to us down there, and Dave Davis as well, actually, that Marquis's foot was possibly raised.
It was high from
studs. There. Yeah, well, that can easily be deemed reckless in today's football world, can't it? And luckily Chapman obviously escapes an injury. That was a midway point in the second half. Pompey were reduced to 10 men, and you kind of think, 10 men. Town were playing well. Last 20 minutes going to have a real go. Didn't work out, and actually, interesting line from Dave Longwell. And he actually believes that the red card hurt Town and sort of stunted their progress, which is interesting. But you have heard that before, haven't you? When kind of the winning team gets a red card or whatever, or team happy to defend, and it dropped back a bit more.
It forced them to do that. You did think with Pompey, they were they did show some really nice touches first half. Second half, I didn't think they were quite as good, but then that red card kind of made the decision for them. It's like, all right, we're going to sit back here and try and force you to break us down.
Yeah, they don't bother attacking anymore. Obviously, their main strikers had the red card. They don't need to attack anymore. They're happy to see it out. It's definitely worth mentioning their dark arts. Really, I think how many players dropped, how many injuries, or alleged injuries there were in the second half that forced stoppages of the physio going on. Easily half a dozen. I mean, 7 minutes of added time, probably played 8 or 9.
10 seconds into 7 minutes, someone was down by water.
Yeah, loads of subs as well. It was 2 bitty stop-start, the finale from a Town point of view, and that was credit to Pompey. They mastered the game, didn't they? And, saw it out expertly, and I think perhaps a mixture of how they played first half and that in the second half will see them very well under Danny Cowley, perhaps. And they'll go well. I mean, they've gone from 9th to 5th today with that win. Shrewsbury obviously remain 17th because, that's just how it is. Shrewsbury are 17th. No, they could have climbed to 16th today with a win, actually, but obviously it hasn't happened. Ends a little unbeaten run of 4 games, but they've always got back on the horse when they've had an unbeaten run in. Credit to them, and I fully expect them to do that again over the Easter bank holiday games. Got a double header. They've got some players coming back from injury. They're a little stretched there. I mean, 3 academy teenagers on the bench shows how stretched they are at the moment. Missing Norman through suspension, others, and to the keepers away on international duty. A couple coming back from injury like Pierre. I think this one can be filed as a bad first half at the office, and they were made to play by a good team, and perhaps the whole 90 minutes has highlighted the difference maybe between a good top half team pushing hard for promotion now and just lower mid-table where Shrewsbury are clear of the drop but not quite enough maybe to challenge that top half.
Town are in an interesting position now because they're too good to go down. They're not going to go down.
They're clearly nearly mathematically set. Nearly safe.
They're not going to do anything ahead of the table because they've given them too much of a mountain to climb after the starts of the season they had. Really, the question is, I suppose, for many of these players, can they play themselves into Shrewsbury Town's future, which I think looks good.
That's. I mean, that is. It promises to be a fascinating summer here. You only need to look at the list of out of contract players. It's around 11, 12, 13 members of the first team squad. You could put together a first 11 of out of contract players. I mean, obviously loans go back as well. That includes David Davis, who we've just interviewed down there, who I thought was Town man of the match today. Curtis Main, who started again today. They both only signed on a 6-month in Jan, so they're all see their deals run out. And there are some, Sean Worley, many others. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there's a good 10, 11, 12. So I've done a piece about it. There's work for them to do and decisions to be made, I would certainly say. And obviously Cottrell, although he's not here, is obviously watching closely. And obviously hearing from Aaron Wilbraham, hearing from Dave Longwell, and deciding what to do. Cottrell will obviously have in his head, in his plans with his head of recruitment, Keith Burt, he will have his targets already, and I'm pretty sure in his head he will know that he will have decisions made on the majority of what's going to happen with these players. Whether, I'm sure they're not told yet, but obviously the manager has to have an idea. But there's still time for these players to impress. I mean, look at an example is Sean Goss. He's one out of contract. Probably didn't have his best game today, but he's been electric really on his return to the side recently, and doing his chances at getting a new deal, no harm at all. There have been others. There have been others we haven't seen as much. I mean, Leon Clark, Scott Goulbourne. Leon Clark's not even registered in the league squad. Scott Goulbourne hasn't been seen for weeks. I mean, they can't get on the bench today over a load of academy teenagers, which says a lot. But there's a big mixture of players whose contracts are out, and fascinating times ahead on that front. Certainly decisions to be made. Probably many have been made already. I think the squad will look pretty different come day one of next season. I think Koch will have some lofty targets in the market. He'll have some lofty targets on the pitch and the league table. A really exciting time, you're right, and it's hard to judge anything over this period. I think, to be honest, with the manager away is such a factor.
Yeah.
I still think it's probably being under highlighted, whatever, undersold really. His loss here, what the players have done, to their credit, is magnificent to get safe. And we joke about being 17th, but it'll be an excellent finish in the circumstances of where they were in November, like you say. Yeah, well, if Town finish 17th, then so be it. It's been an excellent job under Cottrell. I have a feeling they'll finish higher. They've got a lot of games in hand to come, and that will be hard, relentless schedule, loads of fixtures crammed in. There are going to be loads more absentees, little muscle injuries like we saw today. Josh Daniels gone away with a knock, which is another blow. So players will get chances, but it's quite hard, I think, to build up kind of momentum and rhythm, even though games are coming so thick and fast. You're having to make quite a lot of changes. And yeah, it looked like it caught up with Town today. First half, I thought it looked a little jaded, a little kind of off it physically, and they looked frustrated when they weren't getting near Pompey, and Pompey get the advantage. But yeah, hopefully just an off day, and back at it at Northampton on Friday.
That's right. Interesting times then for Shrewsbury Town, but defeat today at the Meadow. For all the post-match reaction, you know where to go, shropshirestyle.com.